So who is your favorite?
You are definitely the favorite. In fact, I've gone off the other three.
Creating a brighter future starts with a conversation. Moments of connection between generations. Experiences shared, lessons learned. This is Talk to Me.
We had very different upbringings. Your mother died when you were 14. You started U2 when you were 16. Were the band like a first family to you?
I have been on the road since my mother passed away, probably since I was 14. I was living alone with two men, three aggressive Irish men, living in a small house on the north side of Dublin. It wasn't very harmonious, and I'm sure I was the root of most of the problems. The house was just that. It was no longer a home for me. And I guess you two became that surrogate family. I'll be honest with you, I've only really understood the feeling of home when you entered my life. And even then, it's taken some time for me to get back home.
Was it a big shock to have kids, especially when you're away, you know, traveling with a big rock band in the 80s?
I wasn't the kind of person who'd be ready for family and settling down, but you probably saved my life. I remember you being born. I remember in detail. I was in the recording studio. Your mother came to pick me up. She had packed me a small little flask of whiskey, some novel I was reading, some newspapers. She was the together one. I was recording. So up to the last minute, I was probably in denial. Men experience great fear during the childbirth of their kids because there's nothing they can do. You know, normally if somebody you love is screaming or, you know, upset, you just smack the person who's making it happen. You can't do that. So I had a very strange Irish deal with this, and I recorded your heartbeat. So I had this little portable tape recorder, and I recorded your heartbeat. And I was going to make a song up using your heartbeat as a rhythm. And I noticed the heartbeat getting slower. So I called the nurse and I said, look, the heartbeat's getting slower here. And they were like, yeah, no, don't worry. And I said, no, really, tempo. I understand tempo. And eventually I called the doctor. And the doctor went, ah, ah. And so you were rushed into existence. You were so small, you were tiny. They suggested that you should be near my heart or your mother's heart. You were so vulnerable. You were 5 pounds. So you slept on my chest for 2 weeks. It's the most terrifying thing in the world to have this little thing right there. You were born on my birthday. Greatest gift I could ever get.
Cosmic twins.
Cosmic twins. But I think there's something, we were born for each other.
Still can't believe you made Mom drive herself to the hospital while she was in labor.
I did not make your mother. She wouldn't let me drive. She just wouldn't trust me driving.
You grow and evolve into this role that you've played for me in my life, and what have you learned through that experience?
They say being in a band is like a extended childhood. I don't really agree with that, because actually I think to have the friction of equals is quite mature. That said, all the sort of gangland, youthful silliness stays with you. So I'm not sure I was the most evolved man. I'm still working on that. And your mother's was incredible immediately. And I just kind of followed her around and did what she said. My father, when we announced that your mother was pregnant with you, he just laughed. He laughed and he just looked at me and he just went, revenge. The truth of it is you weren't revenge. And you and your sister Eve, you were the most incredible kids. I feel I have learned a lot from you, actually.
What would you say is your greatest achievement?
I think if celebrity is ridiculous, it's ridiculous because it upends God's values. So somebody like me, or a movie star or sports star, were overpaid, overregarded, and a nurse or a fireman are just supposed to be normal. But actually, that's the wrong way around, because they're actual heroes and we're not. You know, Björk is a friend and an inspiration, and she always says, you know, a musician in Iceland is like plumber. He's like carpenter. And we shouldn't see ourselves as something else. But if celebrity has anything to offer, it's that you can use your celebrity to shine a light on issues and put a spotlight on people whose voices are not heard. I think we do have to make a deal with ourselves, with our family, with God, about this inequality. So I just live a life that I think is the right life for our family. We try and deal privately with some redistribution of that wealth. But the most important thing that I can do is try to fight the causes of poverty. And they're structural, they're not simple. And that's why I'm in the One campaign. I think the thing that offends me the most is the waste of human potential. If I had a definition of love, it was something to do with realizing the potential of the people around you. I was a chess player when I was a teenager, and I see some down and out sleeping on a park bench, and I think, he could be a champion chess player or an athlete who's smoking crack. That's what it all comes down to for me, is that we can realize each other's potential. You know, you look at a disease like malaria and you think of all the Mozarts, all the Steve Jobs, all the Bill and Melinda Gateses, all the brilliant people. We don't know how many of them we've lost through a tiny vaccination or a bed net, not having that. That's probably at the heart of who I am.